Hello everyone, Jules here. After diving into new isometric action RPGs and Diablo-like games in 2025, I realized that we still haven't discussed about the overall Diablo-like games of all time that you should play in 2025. I know everyone have their own terms about Diablo-like games, but in this video, we will focus on the general sense of action RPGs that have similar mechanics, gameplay, or feeling to the Diablo series. Some of you will disagree with my list, but that's okay, because at the end of the day, we all have our own opinion. But before we go into the list, I want to introduce you to the best platform for buying games in this modern era, and it's called Instant Gaming. Instant Gaming is the perfect place for you to shop in games these days. Your transactions are legit, fast, and their supports are ready 24/7, so you don't need to worry about anything. Do you think I was done? Not even close. They have lots of games for your favorite platforms, and they have the best deals as well. Instead of cutting your budget for dinner to buy new games, why not try Instant Gaming and eat healthy as well? All you have to do is just click my link in the description below, start searching for your favorite games, and use the activation code on your chosen platforms. By using my link, you're not only saving tons of money, but also helping me to support this channel. Alright then, let's get back into the list. Among the many action RPGs vying for attention in 2025, Dark Hunting Grounds stands out as a game built for players who love the thrill of loot and build experimentation. Unlike many titles that weigh themselves down with heavy lore, this one trims back the narrative and places all focus on gameplay, creating a fast, addictive loop that feels immediately rewarding. The heart of the experience lies in its roguelite structure and its deep customization system. With 18 core skills and dozens of support abilities, every run gives you the tools to shape a unique build, whether you lean into high-damage projectile storms or durable tank-style setups. Crafting and loot progression are also equally satisfying, supported by features like loot filters and auto-loot that cut down on tedium while keeping the hunt for gear exciting. In a genre often crowded with Diablo-inspired clones, Hellclock manages to carve out a space of its own. What makes it stand out isn't only its gameplay systems, but also the historical backdrop it builds upon. Drawing from the War of Canudos, a brutal conflict in late 19th century Brazil, the game roots its roguelike progression in a story of rebellion, loss, and vengeance. At its core, Hellclock thrives on build experimentation. You'll descending repeatedly into hell to rescue your mentor, and between each run, you expand your power through gear, relics, and skill tree upgrades. This structure encourages long-term investment, letting players discover creative synergies like summon-focused builds, cooldown reduction strategies, or raw damage stacking that make every return trip feel distinct. The Slormancer has quietly grown into one of the most engaging indie action RPGs on the market, especially for players who love tinkering with builds. What begins as a light-hearted pixel adventure quickly reveals an astonishing depth of systems. Every hero, skill, weapon, and even armor piece levels up, creating a sense of endless experimentation. 3 playable classes, each with multiple specializations, provide the framework, but the freedom to mix, respec, and rebuild ensures no two playstyles feel alike. Between talent trees, weapon-based builds, and the game's extensive upgrade paths, there's always something new to chase. Endgame modes like arenas and rift-style challenges also keep the loop moving, while the Forge system adds a layer of strategy by letting you adjust perks and enemy debuffs before each encounter. For players who grew up on Diablo or Path of Exile, Chronicon feels like a revelation. Built almost entirely by one developer, it takes the essence of the loot-driven action RPG and strips away the grind-induced frustration that has long plagued the genre. Instead of chasing endless god roll items, Chronicon hands you the tools to shape your perfect build through re-rolling, augmenting, and upgrading gear. The story, while secondary, frames the adventure in an interesting way. You're reliving the memories of legendary heroes through the magical Chronicon, venturing across 5 acts filled with quests, dungeons, and bosses. Each of the 4 classes, which are Templar, Warden, Berserker, and Warlock, features multiple skill trees and masteries, offering an immense range of playstyles to experiment. After years of experimentation across 3 separate releases, The Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing reaches its most complete form with Final Cut. Rather than a simple bundle, this edition reworks the trilogy into a seamless experience, like raising the level cap to 100, streamlining the interface, and polishing the skill trees to make character progression far easier to navigate. Combat flows quickly in the classic click-to-move format, but it's the breadth of choice that stands out. 6 distinct classes, each with unique trees and playstyles, allow players to tailor their journey however they like. Whether it's the Armored Protector, the Deadly Umbralist, or the Turret Building Constructor, every archetype has enough depth to support long-term replayability. The Ascent blends 2 genres that rarely meet so seamlessly: the fast-paced looting and progression of a Diablo-like with the precision and chaos of a twin-stick shooter. Set on the dystopian world of Veles, its arcology cities feel alive with detail, like grimy streets, neon billboards, and citizens caught in the crossfire. Progression works much like classic action RPGs. Each level gives you points to invest in attributes like weapon handling, balance, or tactical skills. Equipment also defines your look and stats, with armor, mods, and weapons constantly pushing you to refine your build. That being said, combat itself is what makes the Ascent stand out. Cover mechanics, height-based aiming, and enemy AI that flanks and pressures you create a depth not often seen in isometric ARPGs. Victor Vran doesn't follow the usual rules of the action RPG genre. Instead of choosing a class, you step into the boots of Victor himself, a monster hunter who can wield anything from rapiers and scythes to lightning guns and shotguns. Each weapon comes with its own set of special abilities, turning gear into your true class choices. Progression comes not from skill trees, but from combining weapons with demon powers, throwable tools, and destiny cards that shape stats and combat effects. The result is a flexible system where your loadout matters as much as your reflexes. Battles feel more active than in many Diablo-like games. You dodge, aim, and time your attacks rather than relying solely on auto attacks. The world itself is a sprawling haunted city full of undead, traps, and hidden secrets. The story may not leave a lasting mark, but the dark humor and oddball surprises keep things enjoyable throughout. Heroes of Hammerwatch II stands out in 2025 as a must-play for fans of Diablo-like action RPGs. This roguelite combines fast-paced dungeon crawling with deep customization, town building, and permadeath, creating a gameplay loop that is both challenging and highly rewarding. Players choose from 7 distinct classes, each with unique skills and playstyles, and can respec their abilities at any point. The game's randomly generated dungeons ensure that every run feels fresh, with enemy placement, power-ups, and trinkets constantly changing. Progression also extends beyond individual runs. Materials collected during adventures can be used to upgrade the town, unlocking permanent improvements like stronger weapons, enhanced armor, and resource-generating buildings. This system softens the sting of repeated deaths and makes each run feel meaningful. If you're a fan of RPGs with a lot of customization and old-school Zelda feelings, Nobody Saves the World is absolutely a title you need to add to your library. From the very first moments, it rewards curiosity and experimentation, offering a shape-shifting hero that can adopt forms from a nimble mouse to a burly knight, each with unique abilities. Combat is finely tuned, intuitive, and deeply satisfying, encouraging players to mix and match abilities across forms to overcome challenges. The game's progression is also clever and engaging. Stars earned from completing quests and combat challenges unlock new dungeons and upgrade forms, creating a loop that feels both natural and compelling. Demi-dungeons and side quests also add variety, blending retro sci-fi, fantasy, and quirky humor into the overworld. Book of Demons is a surprising and charming dungeon crawler that brings the intensity of classic action RPGs into a whimsical papercraft world. From the first dive beneath the village church, it establishes a satisfying loop of exploration, combat, and progression, all while guiding the player along a rail-based dungeon system. The game merges accessibility with challenge, offering short 10-minute runs or longer hour-long dungeon crawls depending on your time and ambition. The combat revolves around a dynamic card system. Skills, items, and even consumables are represented as cards, which can be upgraded and customized through runes. Each character, like warrior, rogue, or mage, has unique abilities that interact with the cards in meaningful ways. The system also encourages experimentation, rewarding clever combinations and strategic timing. More than a decade after release, Torchlight 2 remains one of the most satisfying action RPGs you can play. Runic Games designed it with a sharp focus on pacing, loot, and combat variety, and that attention still shines. Within minutes, you're cutting through waves of enemies, scooping up randomized gear, and testing new builds that make every fight feel fresh. The game's progression system keeps you invested. Each level up gives you meaningful choices in attributes and skills, encouraging you to specialize and refine your playstyle. Unlike many modern action RPGs, respecs are limited, which adds weight to your decisions and pushes replayability. Finding gear that complements your chosen skills feels rewarding, and the flexible socketing and enchantment systems give you room to optimize without punishing experimentation. Nox is a standout action RPG that captures the essence of classic Diablo-style dungeon crawling while adding its own unique flair. The game's story, though familiar, is executed with surprising depth, allowing players to experience the tale of Hecuba and her undead army from three distinct perspectives: warrior, conjurer, or wizard. Each class offers unique abilities and playstyles, creating replay value and strategic variety without complicating the core gameplay. Combat is fast-paced and satisfying, supported by a highly intuitive control scheme. Players can map multiple spells and abilities to hotkeys, making both movement and combat seamless. That being said, where Nox truly shines is in its multiplayer. From deathmatches, team modes, and creative variations like Flagball, the game provides endless entertaining competitive experience. No Rest for the Wicked marks a bold transition for Moon Studios, taking their expertise in atmospheric platformers into the realm of brutal isometric action RPGs. From the moment you step into the Stormlash opening, the game establishes a dark, unforgiving tone, reinforced by handcrafted environments that are both beautiful and dangerous. Every corner of the island rewards exploration, whether with hidden treasures, lore, or punishing ambushes that demand careful observation and strategy. Combat is also deliberate and weighty, emphasizing timing, positioning, and stamina management. Each encounter forces players to engage thoughtfully, whether wielding a sword and shield or experimenting with other weapons and builds.
Your fighting.
Sacred 2 Gold is a sprawling action RPG that blends Diablo-style combat with the freedom of an open-world adventure. From the moment you step into the vast land of Ankaria, it's clear that this game isn't just about hacking through monsters. It's about exploration, discovery, and embracing the world's quirky personality. Players choose from 7 wildly different classes, from warrior monks to undead champions and mechanical guardians, each with distinct skills, weapons, and progression paths. The world itself is enormous, spanning nearly a dozen regions packed with main quests, side quests, and hidden secrets. Combat is also straightforward but satisfying, with a variety of skills and combos that grow more complex as you level up. Dungeon Siege 2 is a classic action RPG that expertly blends hack-and-slash mechanics with a deep story-driven experience. From the outset, it offers a sprawling, seamless world divided into 3 acts, each packed with varied environments, secrets, and challenging boss encounters. Unlike many games of its era, DS2 eliminates loading screens between areas, creating a smooth, uninterrupted flow of adventure. Combat feels weighty and deliberate, with a mix of melee, range, and magical attacks that can be tailored through a robust skill tree. Loot is also abundant and satisfying, with a clear color-coded system that highlights enchanted, rare, and unique items instantly, removing tedious inventory management frustrations common in other action RPGs. V Rising is a fully realized vampire sandbox RPG that feels both familiar and uniquely its own. At its core, it is an action RPG, but the game layers survival and crafting systems on top to create a loop that's addictive and rewarding. Sunlight burns you, garlic and silver debuff you, and drinking blood is essential, not just for survival but to grow stronger and unlock new abilities. The heart of the game is hunting bosses, each of which grants new powers, loot, and crafting options. Defeating them unlocks workstations and resources for your castle, making base building a central, satisfying part of the experience. You can play solo, but the game truly shines with friends. Boss fights and exploration feel alive with multiple players, and the castle building aspect also gains a social dimension that encourages playing with friends. Inquisitor Martyr drops players into the grim, war-torn universe of Warhammer 40k as the titular Inquisitor of the Empire of Man. From the outset, the game impresses with its depth. 3 primary classes, each with 3 subclasses layered atop an expansive skill tree and vast arsenal of weapons and armor. Customization is extensive, rewarding patient players who enjoy meticulously shaping their character's strengths and playstyle. Gameplay often evokes Diablo 2, with procedurally generated dungeons, hordes of enemies, and challenging bosses. Whether you tackle the game solo or with friends, combat feels satisfying and impactful. Cleaving through enemies or watching limbs and heads fly, paired with environmental destruction, creates a visceral, immersive experience that feels distinctly Warhammer 40k. At its core, Diablo 3 retains the previous installment's iconic loot-driven formula, but with a few modern refinements. Flexible skill systems allow players to constantly reshape their heroes, while randomized dungeons and enemies ensure that no 2 runs feel exactly the same. The story feels a bit too cliché, but fortunately, the thrill comes from combat and treasure. Loot is abundant and rewarding, from the satisfying eruption of gold to the randomized stats of magic items. Crafting and blacksmithing also add another layer, letting players break down items to create stronger gear or enhance existing equipment. Combat is fluid and engaging. Each class gains new abilities, runes, and passive powers as they level up. Even the early skills can become powerful tools with the right runes, creating a sense of progression and adaptability that keeps battles fresh. It's hard to talk about Titan Quest without mentioning Diablo. Iron Lore's debut action RPG clearly wears its inspiration on its sleeve, but instead of another medieval romp, it transports players to the myths of Greece, Egypt, and China. The result is a globe-spanning campaign that can take upwards of 40 hours, with cooperative play for up to 6 adventurers. The ancient world setting is Titan Quest's greatest strength. Marching past ruined temples and desert pyramids offers a refreshing change from gothic crypts and castles. Character building begins simply, but blossoms quickly at level 2, especially when mastery choices open up. These dual-class combinations create replay value, though the game lacks the randomized dungeons and encounters that make Diablo endlessly surprising. Among Diablo-like action RPGs, Grim Dawn stands tall as one of the finest alternatives in the genre. Developed by Crate Entertainment, it delivers a dark, semi-Victorian world that feels both oppressive and alive, filled with ruined villages, sinister laboratories, and sprawling dungeons. Gameplay is where Grim Dawn truly shines. Combat flows with weight and responsiveness, every strike and spell carrying real impact. The mastery system encourages experimentation, letting players mix and match classes into unique hybrids that feel rewarding to grow. Progression maintains a satisfying curve, with skills evolving from modest sparks into devastating spectacles, all while enemies scale enough to keep the challenge sharp. Loot drops is also abundance in variety, but the filtering options and crafting systems help players focus on worthwhile upgrades. Path of Exile has long stood as one of the most ambitious action RPGs, and in 2025 it remains essential for anyone who loves Diablo-like experiences. Set in the bleak land of Raklas, the game's world feels hostile and unwelcoming, filled with ruined settlements, grotesque monsters, and forgotten temples. Storytelling is subtle, delivered through lore and quest dialogue, but it creates a strong backdrop for the endless combat and loot hunting that drive the experience. Where Path of Exile truly sets itself apart is its character progression. The massive passive skill tree and socketable gem system allow for almost limitless build possibilities. Every weapon or piece of armor becomes more than just gear. It's a platform for skills and support gems, letting players design characters as unique as their imagination. The long-awaited return of Titan Quest has finally arrived, and even in early access, it already feels like a strong foundation for one of 2025's most promising action RPGs. The game opens with a powerful scene of Spartan downfall, setting the tone for a journey shaped by myth, tragedy, and survival. Gameplay stays true to the genre's roots, fighting monsters, gathering loot, and steadily building power. But Titan Quest II adds depth in how progression is handled. Attribute points influence multiple secondary stats, while the mastery system allows you to tailor skills through modifiers. The dual mastery choices with multiple paths also offer variety, and the option to respec keeps the experimentation open. The combat also feels deliberate and challenging, leaning toward precision rather than swarms of enemies. With Beneath Ancient Skies update, Last Epoch has cemented itself as one of the must-play action RPGs of 2025. This update introduces a wealth of new content while refining what already made the game so compelling. The highlight is the Primal Hunt, a fresh endgame system where players chase down the adaptive Rift Beast across time. Each encounter lets you shape how the creature evolves, creating a cycle of escalating challenges and rewards that feels both tense and rewarding. The campaign expands with a 10th chapter set in the ancient era, a visually striking realm filled with dinosaurs and polished environments. Class updates also bring new life to old favorites, with the Acolyte's Lich and Necromancer masteries receiving major overhauls and additional skills to experiment with. Core systems like crafting, stash management, and loot filtering have all been improved, making progression smoother without losing depth. few games capture the primal dread of dungeon crawling the way Diablo 2 still does. In one moment, you're mowing down hordes of skeletons with reckless abandon. In the next, you're creeping through shadowed halls, clinging to a sliver of health and praying the next corner doesn't hide your demise. In an era where action RPGs like Path of Exile and Grim Dawn have polished the formula to a fine sheen, Diablo 2 Resurrected reminds us why the genre first took root. Released in 2000, Diablo 2 became a defining obsession for countless players, and Resurrected revives that classic experience with a meticulous visual overhaul. Small quality-of-life additions like shared stashes, auto-gold pickup, and controller support also smooth the rough edges without undermining the core design, which makes this version the best to experience for veterans or newcomers. Path of Exile 2 has always carried the weight of expectation, but its newest update proves grinding gear games is building something far beyond a traditional ARPG. With the arrival of new update, the campaign takes a dramatic step forward, blending imaginative set pieces, inventive boss fights, and a freedom of exploration that sets it apart from earlier acts. Unlike the more linear start, Act 4 introduces island hopping structure, letting players tackle different regions in any order. Each location offers its own storyline, challenges, and rewards, creating a variety that keeps the pace brisk and avoids the fatigue of endless dungeon crawling. What makes this update stand out is how it reshapes the entire campaign experience. It's no longer just a stepping stone to the endgame, and with 2 acts still to come, Path of Exile 2 is shaping up to deliver one of the best ARPG campaigns in years. Alright boys, I think that's it for today. I know that there are other Diablo-like games that I haven't mentioned yet, so how about sharing your best Diablo-like games of all time that probably deserve the spot in the comment section below. Don't forget to like the video and make sure to subscribe the channel if you don't want to miss another great list. Thank you for watching and have a good day. Peace!